Good afternoon and welcome to the Living Well radio program. You can find us here every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on KATB 89.3 in Anchorage as well as KJLP 88.9 on Palmer. You can also catch us online at katb.org. My name is Cammie and I am joined once again here with my co-host Betty. Tell us how you're doing today, Betty.
I'm doing well. Very excited about our guest today.
I know it. With much anticipation, we are joined in the studio today with Rob and Sharice Heislip with the Alaska Dream Center for Women. And we are so thrilled to have you guys joining us today. How are you doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
Good morning. Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's afternoon now.
The day is just cruising by, isn't it? Listen, we just want to kick things off today by just having you tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us the 411 and just kind of the details and let us get to know you.
Okay. Well, my husband and I have lived in Alaska now for over 20 years, but our Dream Center has been going for now just around 10 years. And so it's been a men's center for that time. And we've always known from the beginning that of God's calling that it was going to be a women's center someday also. We've just been waiting for the doors to be open to that and for God to do in our lives what needed to be done. And so we had a miraculous thing happen and acquired a property for that. And it will hopefully be opening this fall. We're doing some remodel on the building. And we're having missions teams and different people that have volunteered to come in and help us, and we're still seeking people to come in and help us. The building was vandalized, but we got a super good deal on it, so we were able to fix it up, and it's like a princess house, so it's so beautiful.
Oh, you know what? We are going to dive into every one of those details that you just shared, but I want to back us up a little bit and tell us a little bit about what is the mission of the Alaska Dream Center as a whole, and then we'll kind of talk about the new beginnings that you guys are endeavoring on.
Okay. It's an addiction recovery center. And right now we're just open to men, but it's also, I think the real mission of it is a discipleship school. So we're targeting people that wouldn't normally be able to get help. It's free. So people that can't afford the real expensive ones or don't have insurance, it's a perfect place for them to be able to get help.
Mm-hmm. Really, the ones that need this program the most are a lot of times the ones that can't afford to go to a treatment facility. So that's the beauty of what we're doing is the ones that really need it the most are our target people.
Mm-hmm.
Can you just, I know you can't give us the exact location, but can you give us a general idea of where the Dream Center for Men is at?
Yes, it's in Palmer. And so both centers are located in the Mat-Su Valley. In some very beautiful places. Yeah.
And when I met with you earlier, you had told me that the program is a year long for the men and will also be for the women. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's not only a year long, it's a 24/7 live-in program. So it is totally immersed in discipleship.
Mm.
And when I met with you last, there was some company building a greenhouse at your men's facility. Is that finished? Is that complete?
Well, we have a partner that's helping us with that. We're actually doing it ourselves.
The men in the facility
the men
and
in
yourself?
the facility, and we have a businessman in the community that caught the vision for that. We talked to him about what we were doing, and he's like, I want to be part of that. So it was really cool. He's supplied a lot of materials and a lot of expertise and even people to come help us do that, come alongside the guys and teach as they go. So really, and that's a big part of what we do too is vocational training. So that all was incorporated in that, and it's a huge blessing. It's 6,000 square feet. It's
huge.
Amazing.
Huge.
Yeah, it's amazing facility now.
So you're going to be able to grow your own vegetables year round?
Yes. The goal is to not only grow our own vegetables for the centers, but it's large enough to be able to grow vegetables to sell into the community so that we can raise funds for the center.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you also have your own animals? Like, do you raise chickens and
we do.
provide eggs?
I'm kind of crazy about animals, and so. But anyhow, it's wonderful therapy for the men. It gives them a point of teaching. That's just rebuilding even responsibility. Often drugs and alcohol You don't focus on responsibilities anymore, and everything's kind of left in the wake. And so it's just re-entering the responsibilities of taking care of life. And so, and also just God's able just to teach all kinds of things through the caring of animals or gardening. We do a lot of gardening, and we had a small greenhouse and we kind of outgrew it. So we have rabbits and chickens and quail and ducks, and that's it so far. But the new property actually has a large barn on it, so I'm hoping to maybe do some equestrian therapy in the future too.
Now I'm just curious, what are your guys' backgrounds? Were you working in this type of a recovery program prior to having this ministry, or?
No, we grew up in Tommy Barnett's church in Phoenix, Arizona. And he's the one who founded and started the Dream Center there in Los Angeles. And now there's all over the United States, even the world, there's Dream Centers. So there's one in New York and Chicago. And so there's a lot of different Dream Centers. And a lot of them are outreach programs. Not all of them are discipleship programs. But we grew up in his church, and we received so much wisdom. And he's our mentor, and him and Leo Godzich, who was the founder of NAME there, which is National Association of Marriage Enhancement. So we first got into counseling through that. Our marriage was healed, and when we moved to Alaska 20 years ago, we saw the need, and so we went back and trained and became an ethical counselor, so biblical-based counseling. And so it just goes into this. It's just basically pointing them back to what does God's word say about that. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we do. And we were trained through NAME to do that, but now we do it for, and often the marriage problems are addiction problems. And so that's how we kind of got into it. But going back to the School of Ministries there, we would see the testimonies of people coming out of addictions and how God had changed their lives. And it was so inspiring. And so we made the statement one time, somebody needs to do that in Alaska. And not knowing that God was going to be calling us to do that. And shortly after, he called us to do that. And then the doors flew wide open for the men's center, and we just stepped through them. That's kind of a long story short.
Well, I know. Go ahead, Betty.
I was going to ask, how many men are you housing, or how many men do you have room for? Maybe I should say.
We try to keep it around 12, and currently we have 6. So we have some space available, but we're pretty selective on the people that we bring in. We do have an interview process, and when we first started, we accepted everyone. We just said, if you're willing to come, we'll take you. But we realized that there were some people that we really were not the best fit for. We may not, their situation was such that we weren't the best place for them. So we try to be specific and really target the ones that we know that we can deal with, and we really pray about it and seek God in that whole interview process. And then we also take 2 people a month now is the kind of our cutoff, because we want the place to change them instead of them change the place. So if you have 6 new guys come into a program, they could change the atmosphere rather than the ones that are there changing their atmosphere. So that's a big part of it.
And part of it also is we're not a detox center. We're a recovery center. So if they're still coming off of drugs, then they need medical help, and we're not set up to do that because we're a free program, and that's kind of obvious why. So we do require them to have gone through detox already before coming into the program.
Sure. Now, I know Betty has heard this story, but I want to hear it as far as how the new center has come along and how God's blessed you guys with that for the new center for women.
Well, my husband was out hunting, and you tell him.
Yes,
Don't spare any detail, because I know
It's
this
an
is a great
amazing story, and you need to share it.
Well, we had seen this piece of property for years and looked at it and just thought, that's what a cool piece of property. And really, it's interesting how God highlights things to you for years ahead of time sometimes. But anyway, I was driving by, and I drove past this piece of property, and I just really felt prompted, you need to turn around and go back there and talk to somebody. And I did that, and like Sherry said, I was on a hunting trip, and I turned around, I went back, and talked to the person there who was a caretaker, and got some information and made some contacts, and it was really very shortly after that we just made an offer on it, and I was just trusting the Lord that the offer that we made would be accepted. And we made a couple of different offers, but it was an amazing
Okay,
scenario.
wait. You have to tell our listeners, how much was it appraised for?
It was appraised for over $1 million, and
that included how much property?
it was right at 40 acres, and
With a creek running through and a
several
pond.
several
It's beautiful.
buildings, and really nice buildings. The
Yeah.
person that built it originally
Did a good job.
was really detail oriented. They did a really nice job, and then it's been vacant. It's just sat there waiting for us.
For over 10
Absolutely, I believe
years.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, me too. And so anyway, it is really a super nice piece of property, and we got it for just a fraction of that cost. And so it was really a miracle. And even in that, there were more miracles in that after we had made the offer and it was accepted, the seller got a full price offer, and he had committed to sell it to us, and he honored that, which, praise the Lord, was just it's a huge blessing.
And when he says a fraction of the cost, it's the truth.
Yeah,
Less than a fourth,
yeah,
almost.
a fraction. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the other amazing part is the people that bought the property right next to it. Did they share the same vision?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're addiction recovery counselors, and they're Christians, and we just marvel. I just keep marveling over and over at the goodness of God and how this building is so perfect for really to mirror what we've done with the men's center. It's just so the way it's built, even the levels, the floors, the setup and the design, it just like, man, it couldn't have been designed better. And I mean, I couldn't have done it better. And then we got these couches donated. We got 30 couches donated that are hide-a-bed couches. And they weren't something that I would have picked out, but when we started remodeling and painting and doing different things, and I look at it and I was like, wow, this is just turning out beautiful, God. And so I just, I don't know. It's just
Do you ever sit back and,
amazes me.
when God is doing something, he does it perfectly. He doesn't leave any detail untouched. He takes care of all of it. And I know when we were out there, we were just overwhelmed with the beauty. It's just a beautiful,
It's so peaceful.
oh, quiet and peaceful. And, I picked out a perfect spot for your garden. And, I mean, it's just a perfect spot. And it's just gorgeous. And I can see God's hand in from the very beginning all the way to now. And I have no doubt that he's going to supply everything that you need
Amen.
to open this.
Yeah.
Amen.
Wow. How do you follow up to that? Talk
You
about
have to go
seeing
out and
God
see it.
move
I mean,
in
it's
big
just
ways. I
beautiful.
do. Oh, my goodness. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. I'm just curious, how do women men get referred to the Alaska Dream Center? Where are they typically hearing about this opportunity
A lot
from?
of different ways, but probably one of the most ones is they're in trouble with the law, and they're seeking help, and so Rob goes to court a lot, and helps. I had one young man one time say, when he showed up in court, I thought Moses had gotten there. I was like, wow, that was pretty impressive.
So where are women currently receiving these types of services? Do they typically have to go out of state, or?
I don't know that there's one like this that is a full year free to the person coming in the state. There are some others opening up, though. I do believe Set Free is getting ready to open one, and from what I understand, it's going to be specifically for women that are pregnant. So I think that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Life changers.
Life Changers just opened up in the valley. I know God's getting ready to do something because He's really setting up places for people that really want to change their lives and have, basically a second chance at life. And I just believe it's, these end days and the end times that we live in, that He's setting up places for people that are serious about running after Him. Really, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, there's been a huge need for a long time. We've had lots and lots of calls from women really desperate for help, and we just couldn't do it at that point. So we're excited that God is really up to something here,
and we
we're
look
gonna see
forward to
breakthrough.
working along the side with other ministries such as Beacon Hill, and I know there are children left in the wake, and we don't know what that's going to look like at this point. But I know God does, and He'll reveal it when we need it.
He surely picked out the couches. I think He's got the other details figured out as well, huh?
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Sharice, you talked about discipleship. Exactly, what does that look like in your program?
Well, you can kind of explain what the day looks like. Probably the best, Rob, when you're working with them.
Yeah, a big part of the discipleship of this is the structure that comes with it. So it's 7 days a week. It's around the clock, and they're submerged in this. But our days start early. They start at 6:30 in the morning. We start with Psalms and Proverbs, and so we start our day in the Word, and then we have a prayer walk, and then we have breakfast and life. So there's cleanup and chores and those kind of things, and then the curriculum consists of during the course of the year that they're there, they read through the entire Bible, and not just read it, but they really have to break it down
and memorize.
And it's specific. They write. The word escapes me. Anyway, they write what they read and explain what they went through, and then we have other books that they go through that help them deal with addictions and not just addictions, but the roots of that. So a lot of times it's something that they went through, or there's unforgiveness, or there's bondages that have attached to their lives that drugs and alcohol most times are not really the main problem. There's something underlying. There's always the few that just got into it because they were bored or were trying to fit in or whatever. But even those things, there's something underlying a lot of times that needs to be dealt with. And so a lot of the curriculum that we go through really helps them process and understand how they got where they got to, and then that helps them get back to a place that a lot of times many of them have never been. A lot of them would say that when they came to the program, yes, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, but a lot of times they don't really understand what that even means. It's just they're born in America, so they're a Christian. But they understand. They have a full grasp of it when they leave, and that's what's so powerful about it. It really is a life change thing that happens from the inside out, and we don't really focus a lot on the problems. We focus on the solution, and the problem takes care of itself. So it's really powerful.
What kind of follow-up do you guys try to do after men have completed the program? What happens after that year point?
We're available all the time, and I get calls literally every day from guys that have gone through the program, and because of the way that this is structured, it really is like a big family, and a family that many of these men have never had. Some come from good homes, but a lot of them don't, and so they come there, and Sharice and I become mom and dad, even sometimes when they're older than we are, but we still become mom and dad to them, and we live there. All of our staff are volunteer. We all volunteer, and we all live on site. So it is like a family, and they become very attached, and it's awesome. I love that. I love having them call. It's okay when they call with a problem, but it's even better when they call just to talk and visit. And so it's cool. They're encouraged to stay in touch and don't just think, okay, well, I'm good now and I'm going to go on with my life. There are some that do that, and that's fine. That they don't want to look back at where they've been or whatever, but I think it's a good thing to stay in touch with where you came from sometimes.
Yep. And then after lunch, they have vocational training where we try and immerse them in different projects, whether it be welding or changing somebody's brakes in the community that came in and to get their brakes changed or oil changed. Or we
Now,
have
you have this available all at the Dream Center for men? You have a garage and...
Yeah, a lot. Like, how many square feet? It's huge.
It's 6,000 square feet. It's a
6,000
big
square
shop. We have a welding shop. We have mechanics and a tire changeover facility. And
And who takes care of all this? Who teaches all this?
It's
Don't
kind of
say
by
you do,
committee. I do, actually.
Oh, my.
I
do a
do.
lot of it.
And so you ask about our background, and our background is not necessarily Christian counselors. I worked in the oil field for 20 years. We've owned a fishing business. We've done a lot of different things. But so my background actually is mechanics and welding and that sort of thing. So
And I'm a decorator and artist, so it doesn't really, So I'm really excited about having a women's center.
Oh, I bet. That will be fun to exercise those skills, huh?
Yes, I love teaching.
And we also work with businesses in the community. So we have a carpentry shop and a timber frame thing where people can learn. It's not that they get done with all of this and they have a degree in something, but they get to experience it. So we have all kinds of heavy equipment that we could teach people to run. We help people get their CDL driver's license if they're able to do that. But lots of different potentials to experience things and find out what they really enjoy, and then we help them go after that. So
You give them some success stories.
that what?
You give them some success stories.
Yeah.
Do all of the Alaska Dream Center, or no, I'm sorry, do all of the Dream Centers across the nation offer such a variety? Is that unique to this Alaska location?
It's unique to this one. And we're autonomous, really. We control our own program. We're affiliated with Dream Center, and a lot of that is just to help with the legal aspects of it, so we don't have
They're
to
role modeling.
we don't have to reinvent the wheel and come up with all our forms and all of our documentation and all that. So they help with that aspect of it, which really is a huge blessing and a huge savings.
Yes.
And so but the way this program is structured is different than all the others, and every one is different. But because we're in Alaska and not LA, our program is very different. So we're on the roadkill list or whatever, you get what I'm saying. It's Alaska. Praise the Lord. It's Alaska.
That's right.
Yes. And on the women's side of this, it is our goal or our dream in the future to have a second chance coffee house and gift store. So the women would be able to do crafts and different things that they can make to sell in the gift store to raise funds, not only for the program, but for themselves. And then also learn how to be a barista and do the coffee, so they have something they could do I would love to even get into roasting so that we can even go a step deeper. But anyhow, those are things that we see in the future for the Women's Center.
Sure.
Yeah. And we have a pottery shop already, too. So,
Really?
I call it the Inspiration Room.
Wow.
The guys are, some of the guys get into it. They're
It's
creative,
kinda
but
more girly.
I think the women will probably really like that
Take it
better
off
than
with
the
it,
guys.
yeah.
When I was out there, someone had just recently donated a loom,
Loom.
A weaving
a
loom.
weaving loom, a
Yes.
huge
Yeah.
weaving loom, and you had talked about if you could find someone that knew how to use it
Yes.
to teach the girls how to make rugs.
Yes.
and you would
I
display
see
those and sell
prophetic
them.
rugs coming out of there.
Hey, and there might be somebody listening right
That's
now
right.
that has that.
But this loom, it's huge.
Yeah.
I've never seen one quite that big.
Really?
Hmm
Yeah, and there's balconies, so we just set it out on the
Yes.
balcony. Can I just imagine and sitting out on the balcony weaving. And how peaceful! It's a beautiful views.
Absolutely.
Maybe not in
Yes.
January
Yeah,
or
well,
February.
Well, we're gonna enclose it.
Good,
There
good.
we go.
So you guys need some help getting this place ready
Absolutely.
to be able
Well,
to
our
accommodate
prayer
these
is
women.
right now, God, move on the heart of the men and the women that are supposed to be a part of this. 'Cause
Okay, before you
know
go
exactly
too
what
further,
they need.
too far in this, I want to ask anybody listening to get pencil and paper, because I want you to be very specific about what you need and how people could help.
Okay. Well, it is off grid. And so I've already had a lady on Facebook who Facebooked us that God moved on her heart. This is after we prayed that prayer. God moved on her heart to move to Alaska, and that she would like to come to see the Dream Center. So we started talking back and forth, and then phone calls back and forth, hours and hours of talking. And she's just an amazing woman. I can't wait to meet her. She'll be here mid-July. She's basically sold everything. She lives off-grid in Wisconsin. She's on fire for Jesus, does street ministry all over, and she came to know the Lord late in life. Nobody ever told her about Jesus, and she's so excited to tell everybody about Jesus
Really?
now. She's like, I can't believe nobody ever told me about this. She'd never heard the Easter story, and she ended up, long story short, ended up being in the hospital and started reading the Bible, and for the first time, she said it just came alive to her, and she said, I couldn't believe nobody had told me all of this. And so there are people out there that have never heard, and she is going to tell them, and so that is so cool. She rides a Harley, she does bookkeeping, and she's a professional clown. So I'm like,
That's a resume
I
I've never
can't wait
seen.
to meet this lady. It's like, what a combination. And so anyhow, I'm just praying, really, really praying, God, you know exactly the person, and it's a volunteer position, so you have to be able to raise funds for, a lot of your things are covered, food and housing and that sort of thing, but at the same time you still have to have insurance and other things in life. So a lot of us have either second jobs or have a way of earning some income from home to be able to do this.
Absolutely. Yeah. So did you get her to say her needs, Betty, or do you want
Not
to try
yet.
again? Okay.
I want you to tell us exactly. I know when I was up there, you had talked about women's groups could come out maybe for an overnighter and do a work day. You need groups to come out and just do some general cleaning, working in the yards.
Yes.
So can you be very specific? There's women that are listening.
Yes. Toward the end of the summer, I would love to have some women out there to just bathe it in prayer, cover the ground in prayer, take back the territory in prayer, and just really soak there. I would like before that to have some more men's groups, because right now the water's not even running in the main building because the copper piping and the heating elements and lots of the stuff have been stolen out of it that needs to be fixed and replaced, and drywall, some things were kicked in, some drywall, and so there's quite a bit of drywall repair and painting that needs to be done. And what are some of the other things that need to be done? Anyhow, there's lots that needs to be done, and we have 3 teams already, but we definitely could use more help.
Yeah, and one of the
coming in.
things that we had talked about that we would like to see is maybe a family or a group that would basically adopt a room and just say, okay, we'll take on the cost of what the expenses of housing someone in this room for a year or however long, but to actually pick up the expenses. So they would pay to decorate the room, pay to furnish the room, and then really get involved in a monthly support kind of thing to help us do what we do. A lot of people want to get on board to do a specific thing, but it's hard to get people to be excited about paying insurance and those kind of things that I don't like making those payments, and nobody does. But they're really super important components of that. And so, you know, if somebody was to say, and like we have this kind of thing happen, somebody says, hey, I want to give you this vehicle, I want to give you this car. It's easy to get excited about somebody giving you a car. But what is even more exciting for us if somebody would say, I want to partner with you to help pay insurance. That would be exciting for us. It wouldn't be as exciting for the person doing it, I don't think, till they caught the vision of what that really means to us. And so having somebody partner with us in those kind of ways would be super, super important.
Yeah,
And a huge blessing.
Yeah. And I'm so excited about everything God is doing, but at the same time, in the flesh, I look at it and it scares the bejeebers out of me because we're basically doubling in size, and I know what it takes to raise the funds to do what we already do. So, so it's definitely walking in faith and saying, God, I know you're going to meet us, but like just close your eyes and jump.
Right, exactly. Well, so tell our listeners where they can reach you at, phone numbers, websites, Facebook, so that if somebody wants to meet Anita or inquire about more details, tell us where to go.
Okay, our website is www.dreamcenterak.org, and our phone number is area code 746-3736.
Perfect. Anything last thoughts, Betty?
No, I just want to thank you for coming. It's been a joy.
Thank you.
I'm real anxious to see who all steps up and says they want to come and help. There's a lot of talk about it, and I'm real anxious to see what happens.
Awesome.
Amen.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for letting us come.
Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us today on the Living Well program. And again, you can find us every Wednesday at 1 p.m. on KATB 89.3 in Anchorage, KJLP 88.9 on Palmer. You can also catch us online at katb.org. We'll see you next Wednesday.